Hey, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of Geeks from the Multiverse podcast. Last week, we gave you part one of our crime thriller version of AI versus Hollywood. This week, we're bringing it to life. A great crime thriller isn't made by one story alone. The cast, the director, the setting, and the commitment to authenticity all determine whether a movie becomes a classic or gets forgotten 6 months after release. So buckle up and get ready because we're diving back into Missing.
We're geeks from the multiverse. We've come to unite all geeks. Now it's time to get geeky and dive right in, cause we're geeks from the multiverse.
What's up, what's up, what's up, y'all? Yes, this is your boy, a.k.a. John, a.k.a. Captain Mustache, a.k.a. Mr. Beautiful One. No, John. He's like,
AKA, shut the hell up and move on.
No, I'm kidding. Anyways, of course, my co-host, this son of a bitch next to me, Mr. Grumpy Bird.
What's up, everybody? What's up?
So, you know how I always hype you up. I always go, Mr. Grumpy Bird, and you don't even, you're like, it's John. Here you go. Like, you give me this, like,
because I'm
opening.
Grumpy Beard.
But I'd be like, Mr. Grumpy Bird. I do all that, and you can't even give me something. Come on now. That's fucked up. I mean, I've been doing it for so long. You can't give me anything? Nothing. Because he's like, I'm fucking grumpy, bitch. Anyways, yeah, so we're talking about part two of our Missing, AI versus Hollywood episode here. So, yes, so far, Jack Lawton, it's been an interesting character, man. I mean, he's definitely someone that I think a lot of people can, unfortunately, kind of relate to in a lot of different ways. But I know so far, I mean,
Definitely a character study on trauma.
and burnout and revenge, and I can think of other things. But yes, this guy is basically the walking. Like if he was a military veteran, okay, I'm just gonna say this: if he could go walk into the VA, he would be 100%. He would get all the benefits and anything he wanted. So, for his sake, yeah, he needs a lot more fucking help.
It only makes the casting even that much better. When you look at the character and then you look at who was casted, and we'll get to that eventually, but
yeah,
it's really good.
Yes, it's really good. And so, you know what? I'll jump into CTAs because you know what? I'll even let you do the small talk. Okay, I'll let you do that part. I'll just do the CTAs this time as well. So, yes, of course, our little call to actions as we always do. Of course, we do our fist bump like we always say, follow, interact, subscribe, tell your friends, all that fun stuff. Tell the hobo down the street. I don't care. Whoever you want to tell, you tell, okay? No big deal. And, of course, we're always on YouTube. We're always on, Spotify because, again, we post pretty much every week on Mondays at 8 a.m., blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. If you haven't known already, now you know. And, of course, we have a website. So we have our merch store. We have Evolve. We have, hell, even Matt's books that, for God's sakes, I mean, he's been trying to get New York's best time seller over here for like the last, I don't know how many years now. So get this man his fucking due, okay? Because he's been writing the shit out of some books here. And also, if you hadn't already noticed, because, oh, wait, he also has a book that was also created by AI versus Hollywood. I'm just saying. So you can check all that
Let's
stuff
be clear.
out.
It wasn't created using AI.
No. Okay, let me rephrase this.
The idea.
So the idea, the idea
I
behind
just
his
want to be
book.
clear on this right now.
He's like, I didn't just use AI and I fucking said, hey, write me a book. No, no. What I'm saying is, yeah, so of
Write
course
me a book because I'm a pussy and I can't write.
he's like, because I ain't a creative bitch.
No, it was written by me. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, and again, I mean, he's made 2 other books as well. I mean, hell, I even have them both. Actually, both books, and I think you signed both of them, didn't you?
I did.
You did, see? And they're sitting right there. See, I have them sitting right there for you.
Right there.
Yeah, right.
You don't have Echoverse yet, though.
Well, because you never gave it to me. He's like, you're going to buy that.
Well,
book.
you got to buy that shit,
Oh,
John.
now I got to buy it. But the other 2 books you gave me. Okay, fine.
They were my first
Wait. Hold on. What's that top thing right on top of those books, though?
I don't know. I can't see that
I'm
thing.
sure that's the Holy Bible. It is. It's the Holy Bible. Anyways, so
Anyways, moving right
on forward. But yes, again, we appreciate everything you guys do. Let us know, follow us, interact, all that fun stuff, like I said earlier. But just reach out to us because we're always looking for people to give us more, ideas or maybe again a collaboration because we're always trying to do that as well.
Yeah.
But yes, I feel like real quick. I know before now I'm thinking about it. I haven't seen the movie yet, and I know we said we were going to plan on. Going and doing this stuff. But I know we'll eventually do an episode on it. But I do want to talk about some of the Marvel related stuff. I feel like this is kind of a good talking point on this one. So I know, Matt. I know you have seen Spider-Man, and I know I haven't as of yet. Now, granted, I will be talking about it soon, and of course, we are going to be doing an episode on this at some point. So far, okay, it's now August. Okay, we're right at the end at this point. Where do you think Marvel is going to go, and how well do you think that from where we're at now until when we get into Doomsday? Do you really think that what they're going to do right now or what they're planning on doing, do you think, and I know we talked about this a little bit before, but do you think it's really going to save what they've been doing for so long?
I mean, it depends on what the outcome of Doomsday is, but
I would say so far right now.
I think Doomsday is a vehicle to get rid of legacy characters that no longer should feed into the MCU. So you're talking the original X-Men characters, you're probably talking the original Blade, a lot of these characters that just have no bearing on newer X-Men characters. And if when you watch Spider-Man, it becomes clear because there's a new person in that movie, and I'm not going to say who it is.
Okay, fair enough.
But looking at her age.
Oh, here we go. Of course, it's a woman. Yep, go ahead.
Well, just looking at her age, she's a lot younger than most of the other characters. So you can almost kind of take a guess that if you have other, and I'll say it, X-Men, they have to almost be similar age.
Well, right. I mean, of course, like, I'm not saying like Magneto, but, like Professor X and...
But you can't have an 80-year-old Magneto and then have a 20-something so-and-so.
He's like, I'm not going to mention...
I'm really trying not to, like,
so-and-so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, it seems like what they're doing right now is like, I understand that they're trying to, go away from, what they should have done a long time ago. But I guess you're right. I mean, when you look at that opening trailer for what was it like? Was it Hall H or whatever the fuck it was?
Yeah.
When they showed that, and of course Ryan Reynolds showed up and was like talking with Tony Stark and all that
and
stuff.
And the color of his the color of his Deadpool suit was Jean Grey. Like that's the actual name of the color of his suit.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that.
Yeah, it was actually it was Jean Grey was the was the
and
actual
of course,
color.
And it was like, oh, no. I think in the sense of what we've already seen with like the trailers, and of course Thor kind of like leading that narrative. To me, it's like I just don't know if I really. It's like I really don't want it to happen because it's like I don't really want to know if they're truly going to fuck this movie up. Because, again, I know it's the Russo brothers. I know that they're trying their damnedest to try to save Marvel. And I still think that people think that, oh, well, the Avengers saved Marvel. I'm like, oh, no, they didn't. Blade still saved the fucking MCU for what it is today. Because if Blade never fucking did as well as it did, the Marvel universe or anything would have never existed. Plain and simple. We all know this. Or if you don't know this, then you fucking better know it now. But it sucks that when you have a character like Blade and you have all these other characters, like you were saying too about like, Punisher. Punisher needs to have his own fucking TV show, not a fucking movie special presentation or whatever the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
So again, Daredevil, I understand you want to
need to let Jon Bernthal do
the fucking job,
the thing that he needs to do, and stop making him a fucking pussy.
Right, and it's the same thing with the Hulk. It's the same thing. I mean, shit. I know they mentioned something about Ghost Rider, and I know they're trying to do that. And of course, who do they? I don't know, Matt. Do you know who it is? Because I know who it is. Who they're playing on?
Well, I know who it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ryan Gosling is, if you didn't already know, is supposed to be the new Ghost Rider. Which, again, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like maybe as long as they can make it the right way. I mean, that's my thing. Is like if they don't make it the right way, they're gonna fuck it up. I mean, what happens if they're gonna do the same thing like Blade? What if that happens? Then you'll never see a fucking Ghost Rider ever again. Yeah, I'm just saying they need to fucking focus on the script and follow true to the character. Because if they make something stupid with Ghost Rider, all I'm going to say is it's going to fuck it all up. That's all I'm going to say. Because, and then like everything else that we're doing right now, like I just don't understand the progression. I don't understand how this is all supposed to tie in. I don't, because when you look at how linear the first 3 fucking phases were, it made the most sense.
Yeah.
Everything else, you're like, the fuck am I watching? It's like I'm bouncing back and forth. I don't know where the fuck we're at. Oh, there's the TVA.
Well, and you have to realize too that this Spider-Man movie was not. It was not Disney.
No, it's Sony. I know
It was Sony. So whether it is or isn't connected to the MCU is completely irrelevant because only the character is the one connected to the MCU.
Oh, great.
You know what I mean? So you could say what you want, and I'm sure you probably do say a lot, but I think you have to kind of put it into that context of like, sure, Hulk is in there. Sure, Punisher is in there. But Spider-Man, sure, he's in the MCU, but I don't know that this movie connects to the MCU, to be honest.
So this is what you're saying, that the segue of moving forward without it, basically Disney, in the sense of that?
I mean, you could say the same thing with that special that the Punisher had. Like, it's not connected to the MCU, and you're not going to see it in the MCU, and I seriously doubt you're going to see the Punisher, like,
Probably ever
in
again.
Doomsday. Like, you're just
No.
not going to see it because they they're making shit separate. Like,
No, and it sucks like when you, and I'm only going to throw random characters like this out, but like Thunderbolts, and why can't I even think of his name? Black Bolt and all them. Like when you saw them in the Multiverse of Madness and you saw him, but you're not seeing the rest of his team. The Inhumans. That's what I was trying to think of. You're not seeing all that shit because they are part of Marvel. Like it's just another group, another setting, another whatever. But then, like you do see the Fantastic Four. But again, they're coming from a different, technically, fucking Earth. And and this is why I'm saying it. Like it just, to me, you're throwing in a lot of shit, and you're praying to fucking God it's gonna stick.
yeah.
And I'm just that's just me and how I'm looking at it, because I really don't know what the fuck they're trying to do. I mean, I'm glad that they just figured out this whole Black Panther thing, because they finally wanted to go back to a guy who looked very similar to Chadwick Boseman. Fine, that's okay. And maybe if it was like him or if it was like his son or whatever, no biggie.
Well, the character he's gonna be playing his son.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's okay. That if it works, great. Then that's okay. I'm just saying some of this other shit. It's like,
Yeah, I
just don't know. But yes, I know it's a rabbit hole that we like to talk about. But I'm just saying, it just feels like Marvel. Let's pray to fucking God you actually do your job. That's all I'm going to say. But anyways,
we can only tell when Doomsday comes in the movie and we see it, and it's like, oh, okay, well, they kind of fixed some stuff and then broke other stuff. I don't know. I really do feel like when Secret Wars comes around, it's gonna have to reset the whole fucking thing, because
it has to.
they're coming to a head where they have characters they've never used, characters we've seen
Only once.
not
or
even
twice.
once. It's like barely once. We don't really know anything about them. And then other characters that I really wish I didn't know or didn't see.
You mean the Eternals?
Yeah, I mean,
or Agatha? Or
there's a lot on that list.
I'm just saying. But yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so last week we talked all about Missing, and we built the movie. There were 4 different acts, and we discussed the plot and basically the whole movie. We broke it down. And this week in this episode, we're going to be talking about how the movie is made. We're talking about production. We might talk a little bit about budget, but we're talking about casting and who the directors that would put this thing together, the different actors that will be in the movie. We'll talk about Louisiana as a character, and I think for me, like one of the biggest misconceptions about filmmaking is that, a great script automatically becomes a great movie.
Yeah, that's true. But it's
I
not
mean,
always the case.
let's face it, I mean, there are some great scripts, but you take a great script and then you ruin by casting really badly, right?
Right.
You have a director that doesn't quite see the vision, or he takes the vision and then morphs it into his own vision. You have production decisions that completely miss the point. Like you have cheap set designs, or, you have this really intricate crime drama, but you don't bring in the right type of professionals for those consultations or weapons training, and what you have is this like small town cop basically doing John Wick moves with pistols, right? Like that doesn't make any sense. So today's challenge for this movie isn't creating missing. The challenge is making sure that the version of this movie is the best possible version.
Well, and so again, like you and I have talked about this so many times, is that, I feel like I'm not saying production doesn't really come into play to this, but three things that come to mind when it comes to making a movie or a TV show, right? It's definitely the director. It's definitely the person who's writing the fucking script or the movie itself or the TV show, like the ideas, right? And then it also is the actual actors or actresses that you're choosing, because those three, without any of them, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you can't replace production or any of that, but those three are very vital in how you produce a movie.
Writing, I think writing is the single most important thing. And I will throw Acolyte out on this because
Oh, he is. Here we go.
when you
Yeah, go ahead, man. Ream them. Let's do it.
when you fucking have a Star Wars TV show, okay? We're talking Star Wars for a second. When you have a Star Wars TV show, John,
Yes, Matt.
if you were putting together a Star Wars TV
Go
show
ahead, keep going.
and you were like, I need to hire writers, would you purposefully not hire writers that knew like nothing about Star Wars?
Well, if I was Kathleen Kennedy, absolutely.
Because that's what they did. Leslie Headland hired writers purposefully with the knowledge that they had no prior knowledge of even what Star Wars was. When they were hired for the TV show to write the script, that's when they saw the movies.
Oh, I got you. That's what I mean. Is like I said, if you're talking about a subject, right? You're telling me you would never get the subject matter expert in any film or in any movies that you want to make sure.
I want
that this
people
is
that
portrayed.
know about true crime. I want people that know about crime and thrillers and how to write those movies properly. I want a fucking cop in that room,
right,
who's been a veteran, maybe retired, like somebody who knows the job.
Well, think of like
especially from Louisiana. If you could find a local boy,
right, exactly. Or I was thinking of like, and this is going to sound weird, but like Full Metal Jacket, when they took like Arlie Ermy, right, and they took an actual guy who then became an actor, was a drill instructor, made him play the role in Full Metal Jacket, and did all this, and he was authentic. Like that was a real thing.
Right.
Like that's what you should be doing in a movie like this, because you need to make sure that everything is actually going to be realistic, because there are a lot of TV shows and movies that, so for example, I know like my wife, she's a paramedic, right? So she said the most truest like hospital setting TV show she's ever watched was The Pit, because it is the most realistic hospital, like how they do everything, the protocols, all this stuff. Like they actually learn from real people. If you look at like Chicago and some of that, it's funny because she'll look at me and she'll go, well, that's fucking wrong. Well, that's fucking wrong. This is like, what are they doing? You can't do that. Like she'll literally nitpick the shit out of it.
right?
And I go, Well, I'm glad you could tell me because I thought it was like, oh no, you can't fucking do that. That's fucking wrong. But in a movie like this, right, and you want to make sure like it's authentic and real, and trying to make sure like you can understand what
It
the
has to,
mindset is.
yeah, it has to be. You have to do it the right way. And we're gonna start with the director position because obviously that's first and foremost. Like when you have a studio and they're doing a movie, the very first person they look to is who's directing this shit. And while I think several names were initially brought out, there's two that we came down to, and I think both would make a great movie, but they would make different movies.
Right. So like I know this first one, I actually had to kind of look him up again, but now I see like why this is a good choice. It's so his name is David Fincher, right?
Yes.
And so some of the movies, right, that he's done. So I know Matt mentioned before it was Seven, Zodiac, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which is another big one. I actually was looking up. He also did Fight Club. He did
He did,
The
yeah.
Social Network. Like he's done some pretty. Big
Gone
names.
Girl was another one on this
Yep.
on this list.
I was just right. I was just naming some of the other ones on his like IMDb.
So
thing.
yeah, I mean, I think what David Fincher would bring, I mean, because Missing is not really about the killer, even though that's who Jack is chasing. But the idea of the movie is not about a serial killer. It's about that obsession. Sure, the killer matters, the mystery matters, but Jack's like 40-year pursuit of these cases is really what the real story is. And when you look at some of the notable films from David Fincher, like you look at Seven, and between Mills and Somerset, they're the story.
Right.
The investigation is what changes both detectives. And John Doe is really, I mean, even though he is the killer, he's the antagonist, the catalyst. It's not really about him. It's Somerset and Mills that are the story. Same thing with Zodiac. Like obsession becomes the story. The years basically just disappear when they're chasing answers of who the hell is Zodiac.
Right.
They're trying to decipher all those code, things from the media, and there's just nothing. Like it's that pursuit that becomes more important than what the actual solution is. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Granted, I saw this like a long time ago. I feel like
this was 15 years ago. That's a holy shit.
but there's a real slow burn mystery to it. It's really character driven, and there's not like it's not heavily focused on action, but it's the atmosphere, and I think that's what Fincher brings. Because when you look at Gone Girl, you look at Fight Club, you look at Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, you look at Zodiac, and you look at Seven.
Right.
There's that grittiness to them.
Yeah, and I feel like with a movie like this, right? Since we talked about the entire plot last week and we did all this stuff, I mean, you do really want grit, and you do really want that. Sure, I'm not saying he can't do emotion, right? But I'm saying that if you can get it that dirty and down, like ready to, take some shit on, like something like this. So again, like looking at the fact that you're talking about back in the 80s, with the murders, the discovery that the killings never stopped, the interstate connections, the growing evidence board, all this stuff that, was coming into play, the whiskey and the gun ending, the final confrontation, they're obsession scenes. They're not so much the emotional, side of things. They're the story, they're the backbone of this movie, and that's where I feel like you're saying, like with a lot of these other movies, Fincher's done, he would do that. Like he would focus on that mostly and not so much the emotional side. Where our next director.
Well, I mean, just a little bit, because I think Fincher fits Jack, right? Because Jack, like I said before, he isn't just investigating the crime. He's carrying a weight of this case that he's basically been following for 40 years, right? Like this obsession cost him like his marriage, his relationship with his daughter, Sarah, his peace of mind, the ability to move on, and whatever his identity outside of the police work.
Right.
And Fincher repeatedly explores characters who become consumed by pursuit until it defines them. Like Jack fits in the same thing. Like when you look at where the setting is and you have these rain-soaked Louisiana roads, these missing child posters, evidence walls, I think it's really hard to not picture David Fincher doing this movie, but we do have a second person.
Yes, and I'll let you.
So the second guy is Scott Cooper. He excels at telling stories about damaged people, and his films often focus on trauma, regret, grief, and emotional scars. This is why we're saying we have two different directors, but they would be two different movies. I am leaning, obviously, towards David Fincher, but we will talk about Scott Cooper. He's made Black Mass, which is a TV show, I believe. Crazy Heart.
No, Black Mass is a movie. Yeah, it was based off of Whitey Bulger. I know that.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So different movie. There is a show called Black Mass, which is actually pretty good.
Oh, okay, good to know.
So Black Mass, Crazy Heart, Hostiles, Out of the Furnace. What these movies all have in common, I'm not going to go through each one. You can look them up or watch them if you want to, but what stands out to me is basically they all say that they have a heavy focus on emotional pain or emotional journeys. And that's where I think Scott Cooper could make a decent film if it's focused on Jack, but that's where Louisiana stops being this character and it becomes solely focused on Jack. His emotional journey, him being, maybe morally compromised with this obsession for the case. That's what Cooper brings. He brings that like stronger character focus. He would bring more attention to the family storyline than I think Fincher would.
Right.
That emotional weight with Sarah and Emily. Emily is his wife. More of that Southern Gothic atmosphere.
Right. And I will say this, and I'm kind of bringing back to both directors here for a minute, is like, David Fincher, I mean, I'm going to say it. I mean, I actually didn't even know this about him. The fact that he worked back in the day at ILM, so like the early days of like, doing that, I'm like, you kind of have more of an edge, because you have some of that other training that you've had as well. I'm not saying Scott Cooper couldn't do it, but we're talking about a guy who also worked at, with lighting and all. Like he knows how certain things are working in the background. And
like
and
I
how
said,
to
I
do
think
this,
I think he works only because not because he can't. It's not like he's gonna stop focusing on Jack.
No,
I think he will still focus on Jack being this, broken, traumatic character, the same way that we see, Mills,
right,
being that character in Seven. But he also can make Louisiana feel a place that's alive, even though there's a lot of death, because it's obviously there's a lot of deaths, but it can make Louisiana feel like it's a living, breathing thing.
well, yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I always think of like, I'll say it. I mean, because when you think of like the bayou, and you go down there, and of course we joked about it in the last episode, with those damn alligators and all that shit. But I always think of like Louisiana, like where like I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but like like somewhat of like Haitian culture, like the voodoo and the some of this weird shit
Yeah.
going on there. So like it kind of gives you that creepy kind of vibe to it as well, because like it kind of fits to what some of this is going. And then the fact that we've also mentioned, if you didn't catch it in the first episode, that this guy has been killing people in 6 other fucking states, and some of them close by and some of them a little further out, and
Right.
has been doing this for 40 about years. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, in the sense of David Fincher and Scott Cooper, I think I agree with you, is that David Fincher definitely would focus on Jack, but he would also, I feel like he would start to bring in some of that trauma that basically desolation.
Especially if they do any flashbacks to like 1987 or 92 or
whatever. Yeah.
like they do these flashbacks of these, Jack meeting with these families. Like I think David Fincher can bring that like 1980s or early 90s like
grittiness to it.
grittiness to it that
And again, we're not saying Scott can't. It's just
no, Scott would be more focused on like the emotional pain and the emotional, the heavy emotional drive of the characters, not so much of the setting or the scenery.
right.
It that's why it would be relatively two different movies, but I do think David Fincher would make the best version possible.
Yeah, and I mean, when we're also talking about the, for like previous AI versus Hollywood, I mean, we're talking about the fact that we would have we would think we'd have an unlimited budget, right? But we'd have like the best possible actors, the best possible directors, all this stuff, and so like, it narrowing it down to those two people. I mean, yeah, I would say either one of them could do their own version of it, but I mean, I agree that with David Fincher, hopefully he would make the best version of what we're trying to explain here.
So yes, we have as our director then David Fincher.
There we go.
There we
we've
go.
now narrowed it down.
Now we go to our main cast. Okay, and we're not like, boy with red ball is like
boy with red ball is throwing it against the wall.
We're not going deep into like casting every single role like blonde woman on street corner. Like
no.
we're not doing like
every character.
Like Dead Man number 1 is Todd Landry. Like no, like we're not going that deep. We're just doing like the main set of characters.
Yeah, you know what? That's not our job to figure that out. That's the casting director.
Right. Yeah. So we'll let the casting director cast like the dead man that was laying in the ground in the ditch. But we're gonna just do.
It was Matt laying in the.
So we'll do. We're doing Jack and his partner, his wife, his daughter, and a few other notables, but and the killer. I think that's who AI gave us. So I will do Jack Lawton because that's my favorite one.
Of course it is.
So Jack, we know if you listen to the other episode, he's a 55-year-old homicide detective whose life has been defined by an unsolved series of child murders dating all the way back to 1987. And the actor that came across was Jon Bernthal. Which makes me really, really excited. If you don't know Jon Bernthal at this point,
you live under a rock.
But he recently has been the Punisher. He's been in We Own the City, Fury, and King Richard.
I know he's done many other roles, but
he's been in a lot of different things.
The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead's obviously a big one. But the Punisher really showed that grief, the rage, the emotional isolation. We Own the City. He was a damaged law enforcement officer. The very strong dramatic performance in Fury. Just a gritty drama, emotional and like very emotionally intense. King Richard just shows his dramatic range beyond acting roles.
Right.
But I think when you look at Jon Bernthal, I mean, there's obviously an intelligence, but there's a level of trauma, especially when he's played the Punisher.
Oh my God, yeah, especially.
There is a level of trauma where if you ever thought somebody had PTSD,
this dude had it 10 times worse.
I would automatically assume that Jon Bernthal has PTSD.
Or yeah, something.
Because he just plays trauma so good.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just a guy that when who was it? Who was the first Punisher again? It was what? Something Casey?
Thomas Jane.
That's what it was. I'm not saying he didn't do a good job, because he did. I think he did a really good job. But like Jon Bernthal's version of Punisher, he brought it to another level.
It was like just raw. It was real. Especially like what I appreciated was I did appreciate the special because there was a level of trauma that you could see. And it was like, holy shit, like this guy is really like like the way that he was seeing former, soldiers that he fought with and you're literally sitting at the grave of his family with the gun in his mouth. Like,
Right.
there's a level of trauma that Jon Bernthal reaches that is authentic.
Right. And it's something you can relate to. Right. And unfortunately, I mean, I guess the worst way possible, but this man, and especially a lot of his roles. I mean, hell, even in The Walking Dead, I mean, when it was first started out and doing all that, I mean, you just saw that level of trauma in the very
Right.
beginning. And then especially when, he decided to go after
Yeah, I mean, you
wife, but yeah.
you can see that escalation, you can see it happening, and he just has this like emotional intelligence, I guess you could say, for himself
Oh yeah.
as an actor, where he knows how to reach those places, and it's amazing to see. But some of these like key scenes for him, obviously, is like the opening homicide, the scene where he's getting drunk in the bar, the daughter scene when he goes and visits her, um, the nephew reveal. I
Right.
mean, I think that would probably be the ultimate when he finally sees the nephew dead, and we get to see that regret, that trauma come through. Like, it's just on a level. And I obviously, like, the whiskey and the gun ending, like, we don't know. You could pluck that right out of that Punisher special and put it right into this movie, and it works the same.
Oh yeah. Nah,
Honestly, it's like the same scene.
again, I don't. Here's my thing too, right? I don't think you could have any other actor, play Jack. I feel like Bernthal was really made for this role. It's very hard for me to say because like you and I have our own differences when it comes to like casting in certain movies and stuff like that. But like I fully agree. Like if they chose somebody else for this movie, I'd be like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like
Yeah.
like Jon Bernthal really could make this role. Like yes, I'll say it. When we're talking about Hollywood and how they want to like pick some rando sometimes, and they think, okay, they're going to do so well. This guy has proven himself multiple times, and he can lead a movie, and he can definitely lead this one. And like we said, I'm not saying that this movie couldn't make big money, but if you tell it the right way, he can make sure that you
Yes.
want to be involved in Jack's problems and his issues and all the shit that he's going through. And I mean, even at the end, like the one scene right at the end where we're talking about the gun and the whiskey in his hands,
Yeah.
and then all you see is the phone just laid up and everything else. I mean, you do want to know what the hell happened, but of course it's just like the end. And you're
Right.
like, well, shit, I guess we'll never know. But anyways, yes, his partner. So of course the one that, I mean, I just feel bad for this guy just because he's trying to deal with Jack, but he can't really tell Jack what to do because Jack's going to do his own fucking thing anyways. But anyways, his name's Ethan Cole, right? So Ethan is not a rookie, right? He's a competent detective who slowly watches Jack become consumed by the investigation. Just like every probably other person that's watching this happening at the same time. So, of course, AI said, you know what? Here's the actor we're going to choose. And guess what? It chose Miles Teller, which Miles Teller, if you don't already know, right? So some of these movies, I mean, there's a shit ton. I know it only gave like a few, but like I know he's done Whiplash. So Whiplash, if you don't know, it's like basically a movie about him being a drummer, and he like practices, and it's
That was vicious too.
it's very vicious. It's a very intense obsession, determination, that kind of stuff. I mean, the fact that he did Top Gun Maverick, so he did the sequel to Top Gun, and he played basically Goose's kid, and it's weird that now you see it, but he just embodies that role. He just does it so well. Only the brave. I mean,
wasn't he also Mr. Fantastic in the
Yes, that was the shitty one. Yeah, he did Mr. Fantastic. So he was in Fantastic Four. He was in Project X. I forgot about that movie. He was in Divergent. He was in War Dogs. I mean, the list goes on, but I know actually apparently he just did the new biopic on Michael Jackson or whatever. So I didn't even know that. I mean, Project X, oh my God. I haven't seen that movie in a while either. But I mean, the list goes on, but I mean, this guy is another one that definitely has proven himself in different ways, right? Because he's the perfect contrast to Bernthal. He's smart, he's confident, competent. He's professional. He's not a rookie. He's not a sidekick either. He's a legitimate detective, right? So it's like the audience experiences Jack's unraveling largely through Ethan, and then the relationship starts as this old guy is washed up. Then they become, like this old guy is right. Then it finally goes into like this old guy scares me, So like, and I get that. I mean, it's crazy to look at this, and I mean, I feel like with Teller, like he can hold his own on his own screen because like he's been a leading role. He's been a lead actor before, so like he also can feel like a real detective. He can also challenge Bernthal. And I think in the sense of maybe not like physical strength, but like the emotional, maybe the wits and
and
shit like
he's
that.
also the guy that's like he's a detective that like usually will follow the book. Like he's
very right following the book.
He goes by the book, and
He's also kind of like a comic relief. I feel like as an actor too, like in some ways he does like to play a little funny here and there. But I think with Bernthal being serious, like I think this might be a nice little like side.
Yeah, I think I mean, obviously he's a part. He's Jack's partner, so he's going to support Jack. But I think part of him like will cross the line if it needs to.
Right.
But he is a competent detective who goes by the book and sees Jack doing these things that are not by the book and are way outside. they're
outside.
They're way outside the book, and he's seeing this happen. And obviously, if you know anything about cops, like they're going to support their partners no matter what. So I think you have these early disagreements with Jack. You have these scenes where he's watching Jack unravel, not really wanting to follow him down that road.
So here's a little fun fact. I didn't know this. So Miles Teller is almost 40. He doesn't look like he's 40. I'll say that much. Do you know how old Jon Bernthal is?
No.
He's about to be 50.
Wow.
This year, actually. So, I mean...
That's not bad.
It's not too bad. I mean, they're good-looking guys. I get it. I didn't, I would say it's probably a good...
I mean, especially if you picture... I mean, Jon Bernthal usually doesn't... I mean, I know in the latest, like, Punisher special, he had this, like, really weird-looking beard. But if you picture, like, more of, like, that really dark 5 o'clock shadow, maybe, like, a goatee... the hair not done like Punisher, but it's like, right. Kind of, wacky like and wild. Like
wild, yeah. Wiry a little bit, yeah.
But then you have Miles Teller, who's, great haircut, clean shaven. You have this guy who's like...
I mean, Miles Teller has done kind of the same. Like, he's had the longer hair. He's kind of had the shorter hair, so...
Obviously, with that David Fincher grit, like, he's not going to be, like a model walking into the...
No, clearly not, no.
He probably will still have, Ethan, I would assume, would still have some kind of a 5 o'clock shadow. He wouldn't be coming in like with a suit and tie on, but maybe like, the first couple buttons, like
like that, and then like the ties off to the side or something.
Yeah. But I think Ethan is, I think Miles Teller is a really great choice.
Yeah, and I
really do,
and I think both of them will complement the movie itself. But I don't really know this next one. I mean, I know it's Jack's ex-wife. I mean, I did have to look her up a little bit, but I didn't realize some of the movies she was in. And I mean, I mean, you look at Mission Impossible is like what 5, 6, and was it the 7th movie? Yeah. And then The Greatest Showman, Dune Part 1 was another one.
Well, she's in Dune Part 2 as well.
Okay, well, whatever. I'm just saying, like, these are some of the movies that I saw that I was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize.
Yeah, she'll be in Dune Part 3, Hercules, which is my favorite person in the world, Dwayne Johnson.
Oh yeah, his favorite person in the world. Wait, she was in that movie?
It says she was.
That was back in 2013.
2014. So Life, she was in. The White Queen.
Oh my god.
I mean, she was in
Men in Black International. I didn't know.
She was in Men in Black. Men in Black. Mission Impossible 5, 6, and 7.
Right, I said that. Yeah, and then I don't know about these other ones. Some of these I don't have a freaking clue. I was like just kind of looking, and I'm like, I don't really know them. But yeah, I mean, she's been in a few. I mean, her name is, since we haven't mentioned her name already, is Rebecca Ferguson. Now, I'm going to let you explain this next part because I didn't realize why this person's stronger than this other one. So, because I didn't really know what that was about.
Which one?
Casting choice.
For Rebecca Ferguson?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we already talked about some of the notable projects. I mean, in Doom, she has a strong presence. She has emotional depth. Silo, Doctor Sleep. There's really great dramatic performances in those, and the whole. I mean, Emily is Jack's wife or ex-wife, really. So the thing about Emily is that she's not angry. She's just exhausted. You know, she is the type of woman who I'm sure at first she probably was angry and pissed off.
Oh yeah.
But right now she's at a point in time when she understands that Jack will never be a person, he will never be a man that like will stop obsessing about his work and what he's diving into. So she's exhausted, and the role for Emily, it really does require a level of strength, sadness, disappointment, and this lingering affection. Because I do think deep down she still loves him, but just knows that he's never going to turn himself around. So as an actress, like Rebecca Ferguson just excels in those areas because she's already played those characters before. And some of these key scenes for her is like picking Jack up from the bar, discussing the past, like confronting what the case has cost their family. Like these are specific scenes that would be perfect for her. And honestly, I mean, you're not really seeing a whole lot of Emily in this movie. I think she would be just in some scenes, and maybe visiting the daughter when he visits the daughter's house. She might be there,
Right.
and it's not like she completely hates Jack. It's just it's that level of like, I'm not mad, John. I'm just disappointed.
Like, how fucking dare you?
Like, it's just that it's a deep sadness and a disappointment that she really does expect Jack to like put your work down for a minute and just look in our direction. And it just hasn't happened. So I think you look at, who she's played in the past, and I think it's a good casting.
I mean,
she's not a main character, so it's not like she has to be.
She doesn't have to be in there very long. No, as long as, again, it's not like, it's more of a supporting role, but a very short, kind of lived supporting role.
She adds to the trauma.
Well, she does, but really, I think the daughter really adds to the most of the
Well, I mean, maybe the daughter too, but I mean, it's really, for Jack, like, he probably already views like my marriage is done. Like, she's already moved on. Like, maybe she hasn't remarried, but maybe she's dating somebody else, which is when he goes to the daughter's house, there's this whole family that's not him.
Right.
Maybe she's dating somebody else because he is actually there for her and helped raise who we're going to talk about next. And like I said, there's not like an angry thing here. It's just she is severely disappointed that Jack cannot get himself out of this obsession that he currently, he always puts himself into.
No,
it's a loop.
I agree.
It's a loop.
It is a loop. But yes, no, the next person, of course, is the daughter, right? Her name's Sarah Lawton, right? So I think this one is an emotional, important role, right? Because we talked about this last week where Jack really wanted, or really saw what happened when, he saw his daughter's like home, and literally just saw that had no photos of him in it. She moved on clearly, like well in the past. And so again, like, she shouldn't really be angry. She should be really probably beyond disappointed. Like, or this case, probably wants to erase any memory of him, and that's kind of where she's at, and it's harder, right? So, the person that AI chose is Kaitlyn Dever. Now I didn't know who she was for a second. I do now. I do know like what she's mostly done, but like I would say she's someone that I could see definitely playing the role as long as she has that emotional grit, especially for his
Right.
sake, because like she needs to be kind of a tougher. Well, she lived in the fact of kind of like his own like Jack's shadow in a sense, but then saying, you know what, I really don't give a shit about my dad. I don't really care if he's alive or dead or whatever. Like she clearly has moved on emotionally and everything else, and so I feel looking at some of the roles that Caitlin did because I had to look her up again. Actually, I'll do it right now.
She was in The Last of Us.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that she was in. Well, she didn't play like. I don't think it was a major role, right? I think it was like
In the
the second season. Oh, that's
second
why.
season.
I mean, the one I didn't really see because I was like, I don't know if I should see it.
Yeah, she was mainly in the second season. But I mean, Dope Sick, she was in.
Tickets to Paradise is another one I had to watch it because my wife likes.
Justified was a big one that she was in.
Apparently, she was in. Oh, I guess she was in Last Man Standing. Interesting TV show. Well, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I've seen that. Never mind. Yeah. So again, she's clearly been in some things. She's definitely trying to develop herself, and I feel like this could be a movie where it could define this even further. And it makes a lot of sense.
She probably would be in it more than the wife probably would be in it because this is who Jack is trying to really reconnect with.
Yeah.
And I mean, we said it last week when we were doing reading through the different acts where he has actively tried calling her several times and she doesn't answer, or maybe when she does, it's really just this like, what the hell do you want type of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not coming from, I think, a place of anger, like just like the white, her mother. It's not coming from a place of like just straight anger, like I hate you. It's that level of disappointment when you're saying you're never going to change, so you're not never you're never going to be in my life.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot.
And I think that hurts more than just saying like I'm pissed off at you right now.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself. No. She brings that emotional piece to Jack, and I think that it's key because especially where he's, like where we were at before, like it really helps him change into what he wants. Well, unfortunately, he kind of already was, but now it just kind of drives that whole, obsession more, because of it. But I forgot who this guy was, Lieutenant Marcus Reed, the guy who AI chose.
This guy's been in fucking everything.
Oh, I know.
Dude.
I didn't realize it. I didn't know his name, but I saw it and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I know this motherfucker. This guy has been in literally everything. I know. I've watched.
So he's been a villain in a lot of things.
Yes, Tulsa King was I don't know if you ever watched him yet, but it's a great fucking show.
Tulsa King. I mean, he was a villain in Walking Tall. He was a villain in Paul Blart 2.
Fuck. I mean, he also, now I'm thinking about it, in the Rookie. No, was it the Rookie? No, it was shit. I'm trying to. It was he was a cop, but it was 911. It was that series or whatever, but it was in Texas or something like that. But anyways, like he was a cop in that. So like he's definitely played cops. He's definitely played the villain. Like he knows how to kind of go through the motions of things. Like I feel like,
and he's not really a villain in this. I mean,
no, he would be
the actor is Neal McDonough.
Yes.
And he is playing Jack's supervisor, one of the few people who really understand Jack as a person.
No, but I mean, he can also be gritty. And that's the piece that I think will really work with this role.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Yellowstone. He was in Justified. There's actually 2 people from Justified. That's interesting.
Oh, didn't know that.
Because Kaitlyn Dever was in Justified.
Oh, I didn't know
interesting. That. But Yellowstone, Justified, Band of Brothers.
Yeah, oh yeah. There you go. Again, this guy has done
he's
everything.
Experienced, he's loyal, he has a concern for Jack, but he's also one of these guys that's going to be, he is for the department, not for what Jack wants. So that's, that battle that he has to being a police lieutenant. He's concerned about Jack, but he also has to follow what the department is.
Well,
you know.
again, because like I mean, yes, he's a lieutenant. I mean, he's not like the chief of police, or he's not the captain of the department, or whatever the case is. But like, he's high enough up there that he has some say in what the fuck he's about to be doing on his rogue expedition of basically revenge and everything else. But it's just yeah, Neal McDonough. I mean, he's interesting too because I don't know if you know a little bit about him too, Matt. Like he doesn't do a lot of kissing scenes, believe it or not, because it actually goes against. Well, because I know he mentions that he's a Christian and this and it goes against a lot of that stuff, but he actually focuses on the fact that he's like, I won't do this because of this, and he's very loyal to that, and it actually tells people this, it's one of the very few actors I've ever seen that he will not do certain things because they say so. So he actually states this. So, I mean, great. I don't think he's going to be smoking or he's going to be drinking or any of that shit or kissing another woman in some of the.
No, I would assume that his character is probably just a straight up police lieutenant. You know, not one of these guys that's like, get in my office now. Like, not one of those guys, but like, you know, somebody who's, you know, he's a cop's cop. Like,
he's like, hey, Jack, come here. Let's talk for a minute.
He's not, you know, overly aggressive, but he's not overly emotional. He just plays right in the middle. Like,
right. And that's where I think Neal McDonough can definitely, you know.
So yeah, moving along because we have a lot more to talk about and less time to do it in.
Oh, shit. No.
So I will do the killer, which is a guy that I actually like. He's been in a lot of things too.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Pruitt Taylor Vince. I don't know why I always call him Vince. Pruitt Taylor Vince. I always say Vance. I don't know why.
Hey, you know what's funny? Where was he born? Do you know that?
I don't.
Ready? If you look him up, you'll find out exactly where he was born because I feel like it's really perfect for this role.
Was it Louisiana?
Sure is. Baton Rouge, baby.
Baton Rouge.
So it's actually perfect that he would be in this movie. But go on.
So he has been in, I mean, he was in Constantine. He was in the HBO Western series Deadwood. He's done Gotti, The Mentalist, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, apparently he was in
Heroes
Superman.
Reborn.
Did you know that? He was in the new Superman?
He was in the new Superman that you haven't seen, even though it's streaming everywhere.
Shut up, man.
But he's been in a lot of things. And I feel like people still don't quite know who this dude is. He was also like some older movies. He was in Mississippi Burning in 1988, Jacob's Ladder.
I mean, we're talking back in the early...
Natural Born Killers. That was a great fucking movie.
I mean, we're talking late 80s too. I mean, well, wait a minute. Was there really a show called Heroes Reborn?
There was. Yeah, they tried to bring it back. It didn't really.
Great. I didn't realize he was in that show, apparently.
He appeared in an episode of Justified. What the hell is this, ChatGPT?
Come on, damn it. I mean, it's just, again, we're talking from the late 80s all the way up to like, you know,
and this is
modern
like,
day.
This, I think he embodies what we were saying in last week's episode when we were talking about this killer being painfully ordinary. Because this guy has been in so fucking many things. I saw that he's been in a couple episodes of CSI.
Hello.
Like, but when you see him, you instantly know who he is.
I mean, no offense. You look at his face, it is an ordinary face. And maybe that's part of the reason why ChatGPT chose it.
But yeah, because he's ordinary, he's forgettable, he's believable. But then, like, I think when you see him, you go, oh, it's that guy. But you couldn't put a name to his face because you just don't know who he is.
Well, I think this makes some sense why they chose him. I think this makes a lot of sense, man.
It makes a lot of sense. It's a plus, you know, you have a killer. He's much older, obviously. I mean, by now, being somebody who's, you know, acted in the late 80s to present. I mean, he's 66.
Right.
So he would be essentially like 11 years older than Jack if he played a 66-year-old guy back in, you know, the late 80s.
Well, yeah, I mean, CGI could work wonders and make him look like he's 20-something. But yeah, I know what you're saying. And I mean, you know...
Well, you would probably have an actor, a different, maybe more unknown actor play a younger version. Same thing with Jon Bernthal. You can have like somebody you don't really know.
I'm sorry. Did you just put Jack and Bernthal in the same sentence?
I probably did.
You sure did. I was like,
Probably
did you
did.
just mix his
But
fucking
it's
name?
also like 11:50. It's 10:52 right now, and
You know,
like,
why
hey,
don't you stop saying the time, Matt? Don't worry about the time. But anyways, no, I think what we should do is move on to why Louisiana is a character.
Well, I think it has to be. I mean, you look at True Detective, you look at No Country for Old Men, you look at some of these, like, I mean, even Seven and Fight Club, you look at the environment that, in particular, David Fincher created
Right.
in those movies. They were like their own thing. And it's not just like Louisiana, that's great. It's how Louisiana feels.
Right. It's muggy. It's swampy. There's the bayou. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have the
But
southern
there
drawl. You
has to
have
be
the-
that authenticity, though. It's not just saying like, oh yeah, well we're shooting in Louisiana, so we need to have bayous, and it has to be more than just a location.
No, I mean, you got to see the guy with the shotgun, sitting on his porch, rocking back, and he's got a pet alligator named Jeff, waiting to eat somebody or something. I don't know. Just
But that's the
throwing
thing. I
out
mean,
random
like,
things. Yeah.
You have to show these older communities. You have to show these like rural back roads, right? Like you have to show how the Louisiana humidity
Oh God, I don't want to
creates
know.
discomfort. Like,
Brother, I mean, we live in goddamn New England, and our fucking humidity is bad. I mean,
Pretty
Louisiana is bad. I know that for a fact. But
this state of Louisiana has to mirror Jack's mental state. That's where and that's why we're saying David Fincher makes a perfect director for this, because Louisiana should feel old. It should feel worn down. It should feel weathered. And it goes into, our next piece, which is authenticity. But you're talking about maybe what, 100 to 120 million to make this movie?
I mean,
Maybe.
maybe. I mean, it could be a little
It could
bit
be
more.
closer to like 85. But you also, if you end up shooting in Louisiana, a lot of these states do give tax credits, like almost like to 30%. If
Right.
you're shooting, not just like shooting, and like you can shoot in any state, but it's
I mean, you sure can. I mean,
You're-
there's art killers out there.
it's your cast and crew. You're getting hotel rooms. You're eating at restaurants. You're shooting in locations in Louisiana. That's where these film studios that are making films in different states or whatever, they're getting tax credits, like 30% of the entire budget of your movie, whatever you're spending. So if your movie is like 50, and I don't math, so
He's not a mather.
I don't math, but if 30% of 50 was 12 million, Louisiana would be paying the studio $12 million. So out of your $50 million budget, you're only paying 35 or 38, right? So
Well, that's a pretty good math in there, Matt.
I try every once in a while.
Okay.
I don't even know if 30% of 50 million is 12, but
No, probably. not.
but the studio would only be paying 38. So imagine if you have a bigger budget of like 100 or 150, you're getting a higher back return of funds because the state is paying you
Right, to be able to shoot there and
Right.
do everything else. But I mean, this is where I know this has to be key, right? And I know Matt and I talked about this too, is that you need to have professional consultants, or at least people that have understood. So, for example, like police consultants, or having the right firearms instructor, having these people come in and say, okay, this is real. Let's not do that. Do it this way.
right.
Because you need to make sure, right? So, like in the sense of like police consultants, you need to have an actual like homicide detective, like someone who's retired or somebody.
Especially from the area. Like you need to have somebody that is from Louisiana, knows Louisiana laws. And these people who were investigators, whether they're current or former, and people that actually work cold cases,
right. So you need to have these
bring
people,
them in.
right, and actually make sure that you're doing it the right way. Because if you're not going to do that, then fuck. I mean, you might as well just do like every other fucking Hollywood movie would do. They make it up on the fucking
Yeah.
fly. And then again, look at the
Real firearms training.
Well, yeah, I was also going to say, like you're saying, like the interviews, the procedures, the investigation styles. Like, look at everything and make sure like it is actually what somebody from Louisiana would be doing at that time. But yes, the
Right.
firearms training, which is also very important because if you're
Law
like,
enforcement
I mean,
trainers. Like,
what if they said, heck yeah, I'm just going to shoot sideways. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but I
Like,
mean,
no, like
you,
that's not going to be the case.
you look at movies like this, and no cop. And I think last week I went to John Wick because
It wasn't last week. I think it was.
Keanu has like I did mention it at one point, but John Wick has this like certain way that he carries the gun,
yeah,
the certain stance. Law enforcement people do not fucking do that. They don't do that. They don't. It's not part of their training. So
I know.
you need to have actual law enforcement firearms instructors that shows them how actual police officers are trained to handle their
Well, and
pistols.
that's well, I was going to say that, but you could also hire like professional like instructors, like someone who could be able to teach. Because there are, I mean, think about it like this. I mean, there are like NRA instructors that also can teach like like because I know in some states they can teach like police officers and things like that the proper stance, the proper techniques, this and that. I mean, sure, have someone like that, but you can also have an actual. Maybe there's like a SWAT instructor, or again, maybe another detective that had certain training or whatever. Like you can have all these people. Like you could have
the more realistic, I think, the better. I mean, like I said, nobody's going to be doing whatever the things that John Wick was doing to check like the.
Or they're not going to fucking turn it sideways and say, bang, bang, motherfucker. Like, no, we're not being gangster. That's not the whole point of this movie. Like, you got to be realistic as much as possible. And so,
can I just say this? Having somebody who is specifically in charge of ensuring that people are shooting the right amount of fucking bullets.
Yeah, not have like an infinite amount, especially like back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s, like somebody would fire a revolver and it was like, wait, you're like 19 shots into a revolver when there's only 6 bullets in. Like, you know what I mean?
Like, listen, like we all know that a revolver probably doesn't have 19 goddamn bullets coming out of that goddamn, barrel. But yeah, and I mean, most of them, and especially nowadays, I mean, you need to know exactly how much ammo you're going to be carrying, this and that, and make sure like you understand, like we've been saying, like how to properly handle the weapon, like how to move, how to, the proper tactics that go along with the realistic situations that they could be in. All these things come into play because if you want the most authenticity in this movie, you're going to have to make sure that all this shit makes sense. Because if not, a lot of people are going to go, what the fuck were they doing when they made this movie? And they're like, well, we didn't hire anybody. We just did it on the fly.
So, yeah, I mean, I think on a side note, it's not mentioned here, John, but I think you have to look at costumes as well. Like you have to look at, it's not just about your setting or your set design pieces or your props.
Right.
That all matters, but your costumes also have to look authentic.
Well,
you can't be driving around like
in a Mustang.
Police cruisers that are like Dodge Challengers. Like you just can't, in a rural Los Angeles, they're probably driving old ass.
Well, so
cruisers.
So you really have to think what they're driving nowadays, because I mean, in every state they're all different. Because like I know, like here in New Hampshire, they're much different than if I went to Los Angeles and saw what the fuck they were driving. They're probably driving some bougie ass fucking police cruisers. But
especially when you go back into like 87 or 93 when they were actually using old ass Impalas to
be catching people. Hold on, shoot! Like you're not gonna be going that. I mean, you probably go a little quick, but not as quick as what some of these guys are doing. No, but I will say that nowadays, I mean, sure, maybe depending on what type of vehicle you might have, you want to make sure that you try to get as close as you can to what would it actually be. The issue is that and I'm thinking of like war movies specifically, is like they can't technically like. If somebody was to wear the uniform, technically, right? So if they're wearing a military uniform, they have to actually have something that's a little bit off, because they cannot make it the real thing, because that actually is against the law. But, it would probably be the same thing with a police uniform. You want to make it as real as possible, unless they were given permission by the police department or whatever to be able to do all
Right.
this.
I think there's enough. I think there can be like enough distinguishing things that would be different. But we're also talking about for the most part, a detective.
No, I mean, now granted, yes, but I'm just saying, like, let's say they're in the police headquarters or whatever. Like, you're still gonna walk in, they're gonna, you might see people wearing badges and their name
Yeah,
tags
but
and shit
and
like that, but
that's where I do feel like there could be some variance between what the actual patch looks like and what the patch that they're wearing in the movie, if it's
right. And I mean,
slightly different.
now most detectives usually will wear kind of like you said, like maybe like a suit and tie, and might wear a little bit dressy a little bit, but it
I feel like
depends.
he wouldn't be a dress shirt
No, I
guy.
mean he's more like maybe a t-shirt, maybe a jacket, maybe maybe
Some kind of like a leather deal.
yeah, like maybe some like jeans and some boots and some other shit like that. I mean, it's like very rugged and dirty and grimy, and I'm just saying like in the sense of that is like, again, a New Hampshire detective versus a Louisiana, detective are going to be two totally different look where they dress because again, it's hot as hell down there. Do you really think they're going to, I'm going to wear a suit and tie every day to work? Okay, I highly
I do
fucking doubt that.
think Miles Teller's character probably does that, but
You might, but it depends on how they want to work it. But
Yeah.
yes, I mean, why do we think missing really works, right? So many modern crime thrillers rely on gimmicks. Missing, in this case, does not, right? So what we're trying to avoid, right, is these secret societies, the cults, the occult symbolism, conspiracy plots, genius mastermind speeches, superhuman detectives. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Jack in this movie, clearly, I'm not saying it's like superhuman level, but like he just, again, it's like years on the job, has that knowledge of like what to do, how to, work the scene
he
properly.
has. I'll put it this way, very very simple. He has embodied trauma.
Right.
So I think when he sees something traumatic, like a dead body,
Right.
he is more able to deduce the negative thing that happened to them, where maybe like, some of the patrol officers that showed up or some of the younger detectives are still like looking at all, they're trying to gather as much evidence and trying to put like little tiny puzzle pieces together where Jack could roll into any crime scene, see, okay, dead body, you got some tracks, you got a car that might have been going in that, like, all right, this is what happened. Because he's seeing it in his head, like he already can envision what had occurred.
Right. And these guys are like,
These guys are just trying to piece together, like, oh, like let's tag this thing over here, and then there's a shell over there. Like he's like, no, it's just two people. They walked up on him, they knew him, like, boom, that's it. And I think that's where he's not really a superhuman detective. He's just he focuses on his trauma to help his, obviously he's been on the job for a long time too, so there's that. But I think the trauma speaks to him more so than anything else.
and again, like the biggest things that we focus on is really, Jack Lawton as a character, right? We see the atmosphere that's going on. We see the investigation as well as like the style of how he's doing it, the family consequences that go along with it. This obsession that Jack has, with this killer for so many decades, trying to figure out who it was, and this moral ambiguity, I don't know what the hell I was just trying to say. Moral ambiguity. Just say it, man.
Jesus, moral ambiguity.
The ambiguity. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't say it, but
Wow.
anyways, don't
You
you
really
start with
fucked
me.
that shit up.
Listen, how many times have you fucked up on words? Don't even start with me on that
Yeah,
one.
but my words are fucked up.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that ambiguity all of a sudden just like gave me a tongue tie. But no, I mean these are the things that we want to focus on, right? And so the reason why this matters is that again the three things, right? Jack Lawton as a character, right? The ending itself. I mean, now granted,
It's not really an ending, but
it really isn't an ending.
but that's I think that's the point. The point is that it's not really an ending. It's meant to. Well, what the fuck? What
right.
What is he gonna do?
Well, here's the thing. In my opinion, could there be a sequel? I don't know. It depends. I don't know. I really don't think it could be because at that point, it's kind of like, do we really want to see the whole emotional tragedy happen all this again? And then, of course, the moral questions, right? So all these things, all these decisions that Jack has to make, it's not really just about, the killer, right? It's about
It's actually not about the killer at all.
right. Again, kind of like we're talking about Seven. It's about Jack and trying to deal with his trauma and deal with all the choices that he's made and trying to figure out what exactly Jack is becoming, and trying to figure out where he's going to lean towards. And so that's why the ending makes it really hard to know like what is actually going to happen.
So let's try to like wrap this up because there's a few questions here.
Okay.
Between when Jack was with the actual killer and then this final scene, do you think Jack executed this guy?
I guess based off of what we read and how it sounded, I think he played it off as self-defense, but I think it fully was an execution. I think he basically wanted him to try to attack him so he could claim self-defense, and then basically he just shot him. And because I don't think there was anything on him. I think he just wanted to just make sure that this guy wasn't going to continue on. I don't really think this was a self-defense by any means. I think, like I said, he did it out of, like he wanted to make sure it was played off that way, but definitely did do some sort of execution in a sense. Because the thing is, you're talking about a guy who, I'll say it is revenge. This guy was on a revenge mission.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would, only because it's Jon Bernthal. If this was if we were talking a different actor, I don't know if I would make this same pitch. But if we had the scene where, because when we first see the killer, there's like this weird, just ordinary calmness. Like he's not
right
monologuing. There's not a panic. Like he knows that he's going to be taken into custody. He knows that he's going to be arrested.
But he didn't know he was going to be executed.
No, but that's because he said something to Jack.
Well,
but that's where I think Jon Bernthal could play that anger, that like traumatic anger that he is so great at doing.
Yep.
Where you do see him like going almost across that line where holding the gun to his head and trying to press him either for more information or trying to get him just to shut the hell up.
Yeah, shut
right?
the fuck up, basically. Yeah.
And you could have this whole ending where he's doing that, but then the other police officers show up and, he kind of stops and we have more of a resolution. Not really a good resolution.
Right.
But we see him getting taken into custody and, we see that whole thing instead of this final scene that we get where, we see Jackie sitting alone. We see the service weapon that's probably sitting on like some nightstand right next to him.
Right.
The bottle of whiskey.
I guess before you go on is like, do you think that the audience should ever really know, and do you think this whole thing was justified?
Well, it depends. I mean, if we see it, if we literally see him get shot and Jack was the one that did it, then sure. But if it does happen, it wouldn't be justified because there was nothing before it that said that this guy was, violent. Even though we know he kills children, but nothing in his demeanor said that he was lashing out. Like he didn't immediately start arguing and.
No, I get all that. I just, it does raise a good point. Is like, was this all justified? I guess it really depends on how you view it, and like you said, it depends on the scene and it depends on how they show it in the film. But should we really ever know? I feel like that kind of gives it that mysterious vibe of like.
I don't think the audience should ever know.
No, and that's what I mean. If you know, then I feel like it loses the whole. Really, the movie of the essence of it.
Because it's when you see, this last scene where Jack is, he's at he's at home. He's literally alone. There's probably not a whole lot of lights on in this, there's probably just the light from the window. he's in the dark. You see the service pistol. You see him with the whiskey. He's obviously like at a point where you're like, oh, is he thinking of ending it? Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's not that scene where you're like, oh, well, he just put his service weapon on the table and he's just having a nice friendly drink.
No, clearly not. I mean, and that was the thing at the right at the end. And this is a good question to bring up. Do you think Jack would have pulled that trigger? And if the phone did save him, did it actually save him?
Well, if the phone ever rang, would Jack have pulled the trigger? Probably.
Oh, I fully believe that. I fully believe that Jack would have pulled that trigger and said, "You know what? I'm done." And I feel like he definitely would have. I mean, did it actually save him? Yes. It full on heartedly saved him because
I mean,
no, it saved him. It saved him in the fact that if he never saw that phone go off,
if he never saw the phone go off,
like,
I
clearly
think
the phone, like it would have. Like I said, it saved him for that moment. It didn't save him for the entire time, but it saved him in that moment. That was it.
I think just that phone going off is exactly like what it was. I mean, when the phone lights up, it's basically a new case, it's a new victim, there's a new mystery, and that's just what his life is.
Right.
Like, there's no daughter, there's no there's no wife.
Right. He's got his
There's
partner.
only the job.
Right. He's got his partner. He's got his lieutenant. That's pretty much about it.
We also don't know who the phone. It could have been. I mean, we're assuming that it's a new case because that's what the end scene was, right? Like the message was like, "Hey, there's a body."
Right. But you're right. I mean, we don't know.
We don't know if it's from the lieutenant. We don't know if it's from his partner. Like, we don't know where the call, that message was coming from. So in a way, like physically, yes, it probably saved his life.
Right, for a brief moment.
But mentally, emotionally,
it didn't do jack shit.
It didn't do jack shit.
It didn't do anything to do anything.
Didn't do anything. I mean, it's just gives him another obsession.
Right, and that's all it was. And I think that's where the movie kind of. I mean, it drives another thing, but I mean, that's why I'm saying like it would never. Like if there was ever a sequel, I think it wouldn't do it any justice. I think if you left it the way it was, that's how it should end. Because I don't think if you don't need any more explanation, unfortunately. Because you're right, the audience, you're right, you're never gonna know, and at the end of the day, that's kind of the whole point. That's because it is going to be a constant cycle, and there's no reason to keep bringing up the same shit over and over again. And like, hey, we have missing part 7.
Missing. Again.
Missing again? What? You're like, wait a minute, there's a sequel?
I mean, I could see there being a part 2, especially, I mean, Louisiana, I would assume that they could have more than...
Oh, yeah, they could have a shit ton of things going on, but...
More than, like, one serial killer, but...
I mean, don't know if
you couldn't really do the same thing that you did in this movie, making it a sequel. Could it happen? Yes, I could see it happening. Where there's a new obsession, maybe it's more so focused on the actual investigation and the rabbit holes that he would go down, and maybe there's even more conflict with his partner and the squad. Maybe he gets suspended at some point. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I definitely could see more happening.
It would just really depend on how well this movie could do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're landing or ending it right there, because I feel like, this movie has potential, but at the end of the day, we just don't know unless it's done the right way. And that's what we always said. We say, follow the damn blueprint.
Yeah, and it has to be done the right way. I mean, you can't do this movie justice if you don't put the money into it. Like this, it's not going to have a lot of CGI.
No,
let's just put it out there. Like your budget is not going to a lot of CGI, but there will be CGI, because what is considered CGI is like when you put together like movie treatments and the way that the actual looks of the movie are. But you're not adding, the last boss fight isn't some like massive creature fight. Like maybe you're adding, muzzle flashes, or you're adding small things here or there. Maybe it's like, a backdrop that's more CGI scene, like landscaping or something, but you're not doing a whole lot.
No, it'll still be practical effects. It'll still, be the Hollywood magic, as they like to call it. You're right. I just don't see it being this like overproduction, CGI
Yeah.
effects, this and that. I mean, because there's really no need for it. I mean, you keep it as simple as possible, and it'll do. I think it'll do great.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know we've been talking about this for a while, but yes, hopefully check us out again. Go on YouTube, go on that fun stuff. But yes, we're done talking about missing. So stay tuned, boys and girls, for next week's episode.